What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Q. It's Big Friendly. This is Real Spit. Welcome to day one. Let's get it.
So, a lot of you may not know, but Q is heavily into aliens. Q has got me into watching Ancient Aliens and Bob Lazar. Lazar.
That's where it all started for me.
Yeah, so we're gonna dive into. Give me a little bit of your theories about aliens and what you believe.
Well, it started Bob Lazar. So the first time I heard about Bob Lazar was on some little science fiction TV show, something back, when cable was actually cable on a box.
Yeah.
And stuff back in the late 80s, early 90s. And for whoever don't know who Bob Lazar is, he's a guy who claims to have worked at the Nevada test site. Everyone calls it Area 51. He actually says he worked at another place another facility in the same place called S4. He claims that there were, I believe he said 7 or 8 alien crafts recovered back engineering projects. He was a part of it. Now, long story short, he decided to start, taking his friends out to see the test flights of these things because he knew when they were flying. He knew generally where he could go to drive and see them flying. Now you can't even get there no more because they bought all that land. Government bought all that land, so you can't get anywhere near to see that anymore unless you're really willing to take a risk. But I mean, they got caught, and the only reason he came forward was to protect himself because he thought, I'm gonna get buried out here in the desert somewhere. So he went to George Knapp. That's when George Knapp first got into all of this.
Is that the news guy?
That's the news guy. He's the older news guy from Las Vegas. He still works for the same station in Las Vegas. But now he's partnered up with Jeremy Corbell.
And that's
his
the Navy guy or the Marine?
No, Jeremy Corbell used to be a jiu-jitsu black belt. Like he had schools all over the nation, got sick or something, and then stopped doing that and started doing films and stuff. Like he did the Patient 17, where dude had like a probe in him.
Yeah.
And they took like a fucking 6'8" or 6'11" dude.
Yeah.
And they took the probe out and stuff. I mean that's real shit.
Yeah. Who's the Marine guy or the old service guy who also has the is that the guy I'm thinking he's not the service guy, he does the karate?
Marine guy, service guy.
The one I don't know. There was this new one.
Jeremy Corbell used to be the dude with the gray beard and he's the one that did the UFOs, flying saucers, bombs, and everything.
Yes,
that's Jeremy Corbell.
For some reason, I'm thinking of somebody else, and he must have interviewed.
He interviewed Jeremy Corbell, dude.
Okay,
when they had that last hearing on Capitol Hill, where David Gress, the whistleblower, came out, and then they had the 2 pilots also there with them.
Yes, yeah.
Corbell and George Knapp were sitting right behind him in Congress, front row.
No, that's where I got confused.
They both submitted testimony in writing to Congress.
No, that's where I got confused. I confused the Army guy with the jiu-jitsu guy because like I said, you got me onto that. I still remember the first time you brought Bob Lazar to my attention. We were at my other place, and
the tricky thing about it is when it first came out, or even back when I first let you onto it, it was like there were two sides to the coin. Yeah. It was he's either a complete fraud or he's telling the complete truth.
Okay, but then why'd they turn his life upside down if he was lying?
They not only turned his life upside down, they erased his life. They everywhere that George Knapp called on his resume, he didn't work here. But we have no record of him. He never went to school here.
Check stubs.
But he had check stubs from Department of Naval Intelligence.
So
he was in the phone book at Los Alamos Labs as a physicist.
So is that the conversation they had when he was talking to somebody and he said he never worked for here? He said, so you just give pay stubs and checks to people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then on top of that, he's like, okay, these schools want to say because MIT says he didn't go there. Caltech says he didn't go there. But he has friends and family that remember driving him to and from. So if he wasn't going there, he was spending a lot of fucking time there.
Doesn't he have degrees and stuff from there?
Yeah, no, but again, he has them.
That's what I'm saying. He has.
But they're basically saying we didn't give it to him.
So if he's lying,
and this is before the computer age, really. Remember, you know what I mean? So everything was paper.
But here's the funny.
It was easy to erase somebody back then.
The thing you showed me, I'll never forget that show you showed me because it was like an '80s newscast. Everything he was saying back then, that thing on Netflix, that thing on Netflix, the Bob Lazar, they were showing him pictures of stuff he was saying back in the 80s.
Exactly. And see, that's the thing about it. Now it's like all these things that he said are starting to come like to light, like the hand scanner thing on the.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He described that way back in the 80s,
80s.
and nobody believed him.
Then that guy,
And then Jeremy Corbell
Thank you.
dug and found a picture of one, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's exactly it.
That's it.
It measures the bones in your hands or something, and in your fingers or something, and they're different on everyone."
Yep.
And so, little things like that, little things like the video, the one where they're like, "Oh my God, it's rotating."
Yeah.
Bob Lazar is the first one that said that back in the day, because he said that, you know, they point their belly at their destination and go.
Yep.
Because that's, you know, where the what they call them, gravity emitters, the things that emit the gravity or emit the gravity pulse or whatever, they have to point and then they shoot off with no kind of inertial.
Which makes sense. Every time you ever see an alien thing, they always take off. They don't go slow.
The one that I saw, anybody that was in helping hands with me, you know who you are because you're probably subscribed. If you remember going up to Lassen and what we saw that night, comment down below or DM me. Because I told you this before, dude, like it was like 30 of us out there, including counselors and shit. We're out there, clear night. We had all just went down to our tents. We were 2 men to a tent, or, you know, 2 boys to a tent. You know, we're like 16, 17. I was 17. And all the tents, they were the same. And they all had that skylight on top where, you know, you see through. And everybody's laying down looking up. So we were all seeing the same shit. We're just sitting there, and there's this, I mean, you could not make out a craft, but it looked like a star. But the star was moving all over the sky. And it was just in a weird way, because there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just kind of like boink, boink, like pong.
Yeah.
Boink, boink, but it's so high up it looked like a star. So we're like, well, a satellite don't move like that. It just goes across the sky.
Satellite's in a
airplane just goes across the sky. This thing is just like just doing this, and it did it for a cool, I want to say a good 30 minutes, because at a certain point, all of us were out of the tents, including the counselors, watching this for a cool minute, watching it, and all of a sudden it was bouncing around, and it stopped, and just shot out of sight, like that. Never nothing. I remember we stayed up, and our counselor Tim told us like some. He had a way of telling a story, like, you know, like he made it sound like he was serious, like, man, I got abducted, and then turned into some molestation thing, and I'm like, where I was like, oh, Tim, but you know, and nothing else happened that night. The thing that got me was like, nothing fucking flies around like that. Like, that was either A, they're trying to get somebody's attention up there, or B, somebody down here is testing something they caught from up there. That's what it looked like to me, because it's like, it was just doing all kind of crazy shit, and it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, even if it is aliens or whatever, like, why? It looked more like it would, you know, either A, I'm showing off to get attention, like, I want someone to see me doing this, or B, we're testing some shit up in the upper atmosphere at night, hoping people don't notice.
Well, the crazy thing,
you know what I mean?
The crazy thing is now, is that with so many cameras and door cameras and motion detectors, you're seeing stuff that you wouldn't normally see because people are putting cameras where there weren't cameras. Now, I look at it like this. Do I believe in aliens and shit? Of course. You'd be very, very closed-minded to believe that there's in this vast solar system that we're the only thing. Now, I don't think we're going to find, just my personal opinion, I don't think we're going to find any type of aliens that are going to look like us or mimic us, but there was something you showed me that got me into ancient aliens. Shouts out to George Sokolos, whatever his name is.
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Giorgio Sokolos, you're the man. Ancient aliens, you showed me when they were talking about the tall people. Starts with an A.
Oh, the Anunnaki.
Anunnaki. And you were like, the Anunnaki were made in their image because the Anunnaki were giant. And I remember
that's the
Sumerian
tablets, you know what I mean?
But when you were showing me, because like I said, this was back when the internet and Google was fresh and you were on YouTube and you were showing me.
You gotta remember, this was back like before before 2012 because
This was like 2000.
no, it was early, but the whole 2012 thing was a Mayan prophecy,
yeah,
and all that. Obviously, it didn't happen.
I remember you were on the computer and you were showing me at my house, and you were like, "Look, man, look." They had a hieroglyph of these people sitting in a chair, and the people were coming up to them like giving arms, and then when they stood them up in the generated, they were so tall
their size.
And then when they were showing pictures of archaeologists, look how big those doors were.
Right.
There's no.
And then on top of that, dude, there's other depictions of them. Like there's a depiction of one of them like holding a lion, like you're holding
a puppy. Like a puppy. Yeah,
a lion.
I see. Yes.
I mean, again,
like it was holding a cat.
Because I mean, the legends and stories of giants go back even into the Bible. Well, everyone's so into the Bible, and you want to take it literally. There's a literal quote in the Bible said, you know what I'm saying? In those days there were giants, and also after that. Well, I can't remember what book it is. You know what I mean? But I do remember that because they say it every time they talk about this shit on TV.
That's the whole thing about David and Goliath.
Yeah, Goliath was a giant. And when they say giant, they you know what I'm saying? They actually gave measurements.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like someone who's like 17, 18.
Yeah, like 12, 15, 16.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a big man. Think about you're 6'5" and you tower over most people you are around.
Yeah.
You smirk them.
Yeah.
Now just imagine somebody 12 feet tall. Damn near twice your size, not just in height, but in girth. Imagine just the strength of that person. You know what I mean? Like, they could just crush you like a fucking grape.
Like nothing.
Like a fucking grape. And they, you know, again, there's a lot of shit. I think that every myth, every legend is based on some sort of fact. You know what I mean? Like, it came from somewhere.
Okay, well, look at it like this. When you look at Egypt and you look at hieroglyphs and you look at old China and old stuff, and they talk about when the gods came and visited. Now naturally they didn't understand what an airplane was or what a ship was. So a flying turtle, a flying dragon, a flying carpet.
Exactly.
It's just like
a chariot of fire.
Because they had to
in their time relating to what they
thank you
references that they can relate
exactly because but then when they opened that one tomb, and it had hieroglyphs of a tank, a helicopter.
They look just like that, right?
Now,
archaeologists will be like, "Oh no, that's just what your eyes are seeing. It's that little." Here's my theory is this on ancient civilization.
They found out they had light bulbs back then. Ancient aliens proved it.
They proved that they had
technology. Yeah,
it was rudimentary technology, but it was technology. But that being said, I believe that there was at least one, if not 2 or 3, advanced chapters on this earth, advanced civilizations on this earth, that for whatever reason, whether they destroyed themselves, whether it was a comet, whether it was a pole shift, whatever.
Seen that crater in Arizona?
That 99% of the population gets wiped out, and then the rest are left to fucking, build back. Yeah. And then they just got to start all over again. I mean, shit, everybody, how many fucking astrophysicists and engineers are left after that? You know what I mean? So you got to start from scratch, rebuild the population, do all this shit. But there will be people who survive that bring some of that knowledge to the next. That's why you see, like, they'll say, like, oh, well, Sumeria was the first, actual civilization that had, government and writing and all. No, dude, they learned that from somebody. They gave credit to the gods that came down, the Anunnaki. But at the same time, maybe the Anunnaki are a version of us that bounced because the planet got fucked.
And came back.
And they come back periodically to, you know what I mean?
Start over.
Either start over or check on their fucking, you know what I mean? Like, not saying they're us.
What if we're Etch-a-Sketch to them?
Well, my thing is this.
Think about that.
All of us are nothing but vessels, in my opinion. Like, right. even if you're super religious and you believe, in Christianity, or you're a Muslim or you're a Buddhist or whatever you are, you believe that once this life is over, your soul, you have a soul and it moves on to wherever it is your God is. I believe totally we have souls. I think that
energy.
You know what I mean? Everything around us is at its base at the atomic level built to the exact same thing. So me, you, this table, this here, this ashtray, this fucking blunt, at its base, rudimentary fucking element, we're all the fucking same. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Well, what the Bible says.
The difference between you and a fucking rhinoceros is a couple of fucking genomes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, really, the physical form is more just kind of like an experience, I would think. That's why I like, if I have to guess, I'm not going to call anybody wrong. I don't shit on no one's religion.
Wait, no.
I really don't.
Wait,
but my personal belief, I
wrong.
believe that we reincarnate for whatever reason.
I'm going to call one person wrong. I didn't come from no fucking monkey. Because then why are there still monkeys?
Well, again, I would have to agree with you there. The only logical explanation for that, if you're saying that we actually descended from apes, is that somebody fucked with our DNA and we separated from apes that way. That's the only way. Otherwise all the apes would be...
I do know that, I don't know if it's chimpanzee or apes, that human and we have like almost the exact same DNA, but there's like 2 off chromosomes.
Yeah, no, dude, I mean, that's just, I mean, again, if you really think about it, if you really look at it...
So, Darwin.
I believe evolution is a real thing, but do I believe that is how it went and that's how we became?
Like I said,
it's more likely that we were chimps or apes or some sort of hominid like you know, Homo erectus, fucking Neanderthal, you know, obviously, and somebody fucked with our DNA. There's a huge, you know what I mean? If you believe that's where we came from, there was a huge, they call it the missing link, a huge jump. And not just physical ability, but intelligence. You know what I mean? A huge jump.
But once again though, is that science or is that theory?
Well, no, that's all theory, but I'll tell you this. Science can do that right now.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is,
if you think that the government hasn't,
no.
If you think they haven't like fucked around, made some super soldier type people,
no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is though, is I understand that the government has more toys than we know about.
Way more.
You know what I'm saying? But when you actually break it down to, and when you think of all the people who say they've been abducted, okay, at first when you're younger and in the 80s, and we'll go back before we were born in the 60s and the 50s, when you were seeing people being abducted and their stories, that famous story of the couple Betty and whatever the gentleman's name, Betty and Barney Hill, and that's like one of the most.
That's like the first real abduction story.
And here's the crazy thing, because
that shit actually.
We're living in a different time because they were crucified for being a
black man and a white woman.
Yeah, so they were crucified for that, and they were the first people to come out and say they were abducted. So
there was actually a lot of solid proof on.
No, that's what's crazy. So
this is what I'm saying. You know, there wasn't no
it goes back to what you're saying. So if we take what you're saying about someone fucked with our DNA, let's just say that the most common alien is what, the Greys? People say the Greys. Okay.
Most common.
Let's just say hypothetically, if the Greys came down and grabbed a couple chimpanzees, apes, monkeys, whatever, took them wherever they took them, and spliced their DNA with them, maybe came up with us or came up with the first Neanderthal man, and then from that one,
maybe.
Okay, but what I would say, okay, so I can kind of get with that if you look at it like that. But when Darwin says, when you go to the museum and you just see the monkey each evolution, it's kind of like, okay, but then why did not all the monkeys change?
No, that's exactly my point. You don't see any Neanderthals around.
No.
You don't see any Homo erectus. Well, I guess we're Homo erectus, but there are other homos. No diddy. there are other homogenous species that, you know what I mean, that we've only found like small bones of, but that we know it's a different species, you know what I mean? So they give it a name. We know dick.